Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Daily Word. Today is Monday, February 28th, the last day of February. We're about to turn the corner into the month of March. And of course, there's no leap year this year, and so we miss out on a day or take advantage of not having a day, and we plow right into the month of March. So glad you could join me for our time together on this last day of February as we continue our conversation in the Daily Word and what it means for us and how we live our lives and how important the Word is for us as we share it together. A reminder that this Wednesday night is Ash Wednesday. We'll be in person in the fellowship hall beginning at 7 o'clock. You're going to want to join us. We are going to have music and hymns and scripture and prayer. We'll share in the sacrament of communion, and we will have the imposition of ashes. So I hope you plan to join us for all the good things that we have planned on Wednesday night this week as we begin together our Lenten journey and our journey towards the cross and towards Resurrection Sunday. So hopefully you'll be with us on Wednesday night. If you can't join us in person, you can join us here via Facebook Live as well. So for the scripture this morning, I've chosen from the book of Exodus, chapter 35, verses 2 through 3. And so this is this interesting conversation. I read this early this morning, and I was intrigued by what it meant for us and how it speaks to us. So in Exodus 35, we hear these words: 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day you shall have a holy Sabbath of solemn rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. So we live in this interesting culture, right, where we hustle and hustle and hustle some more for the almighty dollar. And we chase it and we chase it, and we struggle with climbing the corporate ladder. You know, we have all these ideas about what work means for us. And so I read about this earlier this morning, and I hadn't even thought about leap year. But we don't have a leap year this year. We don't get an extra day this year in the calendar to fill with whatever we would fill it with. But if we did, what would we do? What would you and I do if we had an extra day, if we had 366 days? I would mostly guess that for all of us, including me, that we would fill it with all the busy stuff that we will fill today with and tomorrow with. Mostly work, too much of it, paid work, and unpaid work. And that's how we've kind of been programmed, right? This idea of work. Now, some of you like me, are old enough to remember the days when Sunday was indeed a Sabbath day. Stores were closed, and you spent your Sunday really having Sabbath. For us, we would go to Grandma Oats's or Granny's house, or they would come to our house. We would have a good meal, and then we would do very little on that day until it came time to go to youth group, usually on Sunday night. We had those Sabbath days, and a lot of folks, well, many folks didn't work on a Sunday. And it was in those days when churches were at their heyday, and when I think we found ways to honor what Exodus 35 says. But then somewhere along the way, these blue laws went away, and we demanded access to all kinds of stuff. And then folks began working on Sunday for lots of reasons. And so our idea of Sabbath has taken this, well, it's been taken off the plate, right? We just don't do a very good job of Sabbath. But the scripture reminds us that 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day you shall have a holy Sabbath of solemn rest to the Lord. This idea that God gives us this Sabbath day and wants us to give it back to God. It's an interesting idea. I think God for us craves our rest. Because God realizes that we are, in lots of ways, simply overworked. It's interesting, I said to Diane last night, late, 11 o'clock or something, I said, man, tomorrow's going to be a horrible day. She said, why? I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff there. She said, well, you have to get ready for Wednesday night. Man, I've been ready for Ash Wednesday forever and a day. So, I don't have all that to do. And this idea, of rest has eluded us. So we don't have an extra day, but what we do have is this command of Scripture that we should have a day of solemn rest to the Lord. For us, it turns out, that day is Sunday, typically. And we're implored to go to church, to be in worship, to share in communion with each other. I'm a little dismayed these days, and maybe it happens for lots of reasons, nobody's fault, but, because of the pandemic, I guess, has caused this, and maybe it will change in the future, but we rush into church and we rush out of church. We've gotten into that really bad habit again of not hanging around, of not sharing our lives in conversation. We don't come early for coffee and hang out, and we don't stay afterwards. Now, I know the pandemic has caused this, but I wonder what would happen for us, at least if we would look at this one Sabbath day of rest that we could give back to God what God has given to us. Now, it's interesting that the scripture says, whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. Now, God isn't the executioner here. Look at the text. God isn't the executioner. Overwork itself is the executioner. And we're reminded that our jobs will never love us back. If I die tomorrow or we quit, whatever it is, our job will be posted the next day, right? They need somebody to fill our space. So for us, I think it would do us well. And I just thought about this as I read this about Labor Day, or about leap year not happening this year. It would do us well to take a look at what our Sabbath means for us and how it is that we give this holy rest to the Lord. I remember when I first started going on mission trips many years ago. Usually on a mission trip, they implore you, they make you actually take Wednesday off. Now, for those of us who are, we go on mission trip, we want to work, we want to get a lot accomplished. They make you take Wednesday off to refresh. And I think that's a good idea. We don't always do it when we go to Tennessee. We typically have been working Monday through Thursday and then not working on Friday and coming home. But there's something about, rest and relaxation. It's in those days, those Wednesdays when we did do that, and Chuck would remind me of the places we've been, that we found things to do, and we did some incredible sightseeing and swimming in some places, and that Debbie would send us money for ice cream, and it refreshed our soul. And so, friends, there's not a leap year this year. We don't get an extra day. But the scripture reminds us that we need to find ways to find Sabbath, holy rest, the scripture says, to the Lord, to refresh us. So I hope that's a word that we can look at deep inside of ourselves as we live our lives, and just think about what that would mean for us to have this reminder from God in our lives. So the sun's shining beautiful today. Hope it's a beautiful day for all of you, as hopefully the ice continues to melt. Just a reminder again, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock is our Ash Wednesday service. It's in person in the fellowship hall. I hope you plan to join us. So know of God's love that surrounds you. Know of my love for all of you. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Have a great day.